Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop today. It's nice to have you back here. We're going to work on the tunnel extension today. Got to wait for Keely to come back, give me a hand twisting some things, moving some stuff around. But for now, I'm going to just clean up some loose ends. I'm going to put the motor torque mount back in, put the cross shaft or the jack shaft back in. I'm going to put the front steering components in. I still have to go and pick up my A-arms that have been made. But you know what? We're going to tie up some loose ends. I'm going to show you how to do a few things. So I've got to put this bracket back in. This just keeps the motor from pulling in towards the clutches when you're putting it under load. So I had to heat this up. It was all seized. Don't force it because this bolt actually breaks very easily. So heat it up when you have to. And I'm going to put it back in here with these little screws. But you know what? There's a locking compound of some sort on this screw. I'm going to do the same thing. If Skidoo did it, I'm going to do it. It's nice to see things coming back together, you know? Get these things on the move. I'm going to put this jack shaft in. And before I do that, I'm going to lubricate this seal up on the chain case. Make sure that slips in there nicely. So after you've lubed up your chain case seal, make sure you lube up the sleeve here and this little O-ring that goes in there. That sits in your chain case first. You won't get it on afterwards. Grab your brake rotor, slap it down. Pick up your keyway. Make sure you've got free movement on there, nothing's binding up. And that's that. Just put on the bearing retainer here. I didn't swap out this bearing with a new one because I checked the bearing. It was nice and tight. There's no loose play in it, so it wasn't replaced too long ago. So you know what? I'm just going to keep it. No sense replacing that if I don't have to. Make sure you go over everything and just firm up that everything's tight. Sometimes those little ratchets don't make them as tight as what you think. There you go. Bottom. Come on, there you go. It's a tight fit in here and you have to put the bushings in before you mount the bottom up. So I'll just do this. Click that. Screw them together. I've checked all these steering components, these bushings here, and they're still good and tight, so I'm going to use those. But I'm going to replace the upper ones because I know they're loose. I don't like them loose. I've left everything kind of loose here. I'm not going to tighten everything up until I know everything's in place because you know what, I've made that mistake, I don't know how many times. Tightened one thing up, can't get something else tightened up, so then I just have to go back and redo it. Right on. There we go. based on the way everything's going back together, I'm pretty confident that it is slightly torqued, twisted a little bit. I can see a little bit of a bend in the nun in a couple of places, but not enough for me to put a new one in it, that's for sure. So for now, it's going to stay like this. I can live with it. Steering seems to work well now. All I need to do is get my A-arms. Once they're installed, then I can shorten up my steering rods and then move on to something else. But got to go to the border, pick them up on the other side in the States. I get everything shipped over there. It's a little cheaper, a little easier for me to pick up. All right, next. Wiring harness back in. If you have a snowmobile, a REV with electric start, you can't just disconnect everything because it needs the battery power to fire up the computer before things start up. It's a bit of a nightmare. It's not going to work. So all you have to do is just get this little pigtail length here, ditch this little short harness here, which has a fuse in it for the electric starter and a relay plug on it. That's part number 515175721. So get rid of that off your sled and install this part, which is 515175722, REV B. And this has only one connection on it, and that's just for a relay. So, there. Bye-bye, electric start. I'm going to keep some of these other wires nice and handy. This is DC current going through here, and I need that for my Digitron. It's going to be really handy, actually. Don't need this heavy chunk of wire here. Your little starter solenoid. All right, so I got the jack shaft in, the steering column is in with the steering components, the wiring harness is in a little bit, did a little bit of work to the tunnel here. Make sure you come back, check out the next episode. I'm going to fab up the mock sides so I can have some sides hydro cut. It's going to look pretty cool. So thanks for joining me here at Power Mods. I got to thank you for coming back. Give me a big old thumbs up and make sure you join me on Facebook. Thanks for watching.